What's up, you guys? I'm over here with my good friend Cody from Movement Mortgage, and today we're gonna talk about how to get yourself financially ready to actually buy your first house or your first investment property. So Cody, before we go into all the most common questions people asking about homeownership and investment, tell me a little bit about your background. What did you do before you got into the mortgage business and started investing?
Yeah, you bet. So I graduated college with a degree in finance. So I always knew I wanted to do something with money and numbers. During college and a few years out of college, I worked for Fred Meyer Jewelers selling jewelry. So I always liked sales as well, like being involved with people. So then I went home for Christmas one time out of retail, and I was just burnt. I was over it, done with it. I had to get out of it. Ran into a buddy who was doing mortgages. He said, "You'd be great at this." The rest is history. That was 23 years ago.
23 years ago. And you got into the business.
Yep.
And you became a top agent. And then when did you buy your first house? Let me say that.
Yeah, so I actually bought my first house before I got in the mortgage business.
Yep.
That was one of the other reasons kind of why I got in, because I had a not so great experience, and I thought, man, I could do better than that, right?
And what year was that when you bought that?
That was in 1999.
1999.
Yep.
And then fast forward today.
Yep.
How many doors do you have today?
I have 128 rental units right now.
128 doors? Damn!
Yeah.
What do you think your gross revenue rent is?
Oh, it's over 7 figures total. So over $1 million in gross rents received.
After you minus all your expenses, what do you think you take home at the end of the day in your pocket, you think, roughly?
It's about $25,000 a month.
$25,000 passive income. Wait until my man get this whole thing paid off. $1 million plus. Folks, is that $1 million a year, I'm assuming, right?
It's about $1 million a year, and it's all paid off. Yep.
Okay? That's the big goal, folks, right? Owning real estate is where true wealth is. So let's start diving in some of the most common questions that everybody asks us. What do I gotta do to get ready for ownership? What do I gotta do ready to own some rental property like you guys?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, the number one thing I could say is get an application into a mortgage professional, right? So we obviously do that. We work in all the states. If you can get the information in and see where you're at, right? When I say pull back the curtain, see what it looks like. What's your credit look like? What's your income look like? What do your assets look like? You might already be in a position to be able to buy something. You just don't realize it yet. And if you're not, then that person can help guide you and get you where you want to go to meet your goals. Yeah. So if somebody doesn't already own a house, buying their primary residence is going to be their best way into real estate. And that you can do with as little as a 580 credit score. So
580, FHA.
FHA, owner-occupied, VA as well, if somebody's a veteran.
Okay.
580 credit score is a minimum there. With conventional for owner-occupied, probably like 620 is gonna be the measure. And then investment property, you're gonna have a much better idea at 680 to maybe 700 for credit score.
Now, why is it important that investment property, you gotta get higher credit?
Right, it's more risky, right?
That's true.
People tend to take care of their own house better than they would take care of anything else in hard times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how does someone build credit then, if their low credit is low?
Yeah, so there's like a couple different ways, right? There's three main types of credit. There's revolving credit, that's credit cards.
Credit cards.
Right? Installment credit, which is like a car loan or a student loan. And then there's mortgage, right, which is for a house. So all three of those to get the best score possible, but most of the time if you don't have a mortgage, right, you gotta concentrate on the other two.
That's right.
So credit cards can be a really great way to build or improve scores. If you don't have great credit or no credit at all, a secured card would be a good idea. So go to your bank, they probably offer a secured card, Capital One secured, Open Sky secured, you could Google those and find them. Basically what you do is you pre-fund that account with about $300, they give you a $300 limit, right? So just your own money you're spending. You do that for a year and then they'll turn it into a regular credit card and give you much better credit scores. I've seen people improve their scores 60 points in 45 days with one secured credit card.
Now here's the thing, no matter what, installment, mortgage, what's the other one again?
Revolving.
No matter which one it is, folks, here is the bottom line. Pay the damn thing on time. If you do that only, folks, your credit gets better. Okay, would you agree with that?
That is right, absolutely right. Okay. Got to pay the bills on time. The other one is collections, right? So collections are important, and having a collection basically means that you took on an obligation. That debtor couldn't receive their money, so they sent it off to collections, right? That's not great. Now, paying an old collection can oftentimes decrease your score, right? So paying off old debt sometimes can decrease your score unless you get what's called a pay for deletion. Pay for deletion is key. If you're gonna pay off an old debt, make sure before you pay it that they're willing to remove that debt from your credit report and get it in writing.
So what does it take to actually buy your first house to live in or even buying a rental property? So how much money you gotta make? What's your debt gotta be like? But let's talk about first-time home buying first.
Yeah.
They never bought a home, they want to buy a house.
Cool.
Let's say they're first-time home buyer, they want to buy a house for like $500,000. Cool. What do they got to make to buy something like this?
All right, so the way we'd look at that is we've got a $500,000 house.
Yep.
We're gonna do maybe 3.5% down, minimum down FHA.
Yep.
So we're gonna be borrowing $480, $490, something like
Yep.
that. That's probably gonna give you a payment with taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance, everything rolled together, maybe $3,500 a month.
Okay, $3,500 bucks.
Now your average first-time home buyer is gonna probably have a car loan payment.
Yep.
Right, maybe $500 a month.
Yep.
They're gonna maybe have some student loans, right?
Yep.
Maybe another $400 or $500 a month.
credit
there.
card bills.
Some credit cards, right? So we've got $3,500 for the house, $500 for the car.
Yep.
Another $500 for student loans and credit cards, right? That's what, $4,500?
$4,500.
Okay. So generally speaking, you're gonna need to make at least 2 times all of your debts in gross monthly income. Okay, so that means if we got $4,500 a month worth of expenses, we're gonna need about $9,000 a month of gross household income.
There you go. That's, again, folks, you gotta add up all your bills, okay? That's why it's important that you keep your bills and your debt low if you're gonna buy a house. Otherwise, you're gonna make so much more just to cover the mortgage, to cover your house and all the miscellaneous stuff, okay?
That's true.
Now let's talk about, let's say somebody already own a house.
Yep.
They wanna buy a rental.
Yeah.
Let's say they wanna buy a duplex for $800,000.
Cool.
What do they need required to do that on top of they already got something now?
Cool. So let's say that our first-time home buyer now, a year or two later, they want to buy a rental property.
That's
so
right.
they've got $4,500 a month worth of debt already.
Yep.
Now they're going to take on a new $800,000 duplex.
Yep.
They're putting 25% down on that one because it's non-owner occupied, right?
Yes.
It's an investment property. So their payment on that's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of around $5,000 a month.
Yep.
Okay. Let's say that property rents for $6,000 a month. So in the mortgage world, we get to use that rental income to help offset your mortgage. Now, I don't get to use all of it though. I've got to use a 25% vacancy, maintenance, and management factor. So that $6,000 a month, discounted by 25% turns into $4,500 a month.
Okay.
Okay, so that $4,500 a month goes against the $5,000 a month payment.
Yeah.
So it looks like a $500 a month loss. Okay.
Yep.
Now you're going to be making some money on it because you don't necessarily have to take that vacancy maintenance, but it's a $500 a month loss on the mortgage side.
Yep.
Right. So if we had $4,500 a month on our current lifestyle, we add that $500 to that. That means we've got $5,000 a month worth of expenses. We got to make at least 10 grand worth of income.
Yeah. So you have a total of $5,000 expense. Now you got to double that.
That's right.
10,000. Okay.
Yep.
So this is why it's so important, right? That you understand how to do this. You got to keep your debt low. You got to know what you're going to buy. You got to know what type of property to buy so that you can actually qualify. Cody, you guys do loans all across the United States.
We do. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Anywhere in the country.
We're gonna put Cody's contact below so you guys can reach him later. Okay. So let's go on to the next question. People say to me all the time, it's stupid to buy a house right now because interest rates still high and it's gonna come down lower here in the next 2 years. It's dumb to buy now. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think if you think values are going down, go ahead and wait.
Yeah.
But I don't think values are going down. There's a couple reasons why. So interest rates have gone up significantly in 2022, right? We saw inflation go up, we saw rates go up. We're seeing inflation come down, we're seeing rates come down, right? So what I think is going to happen is towards the end of this year, early part of next year, we're gonna see a pretty significant reduction in interest rates, and you're gonna see more people jump back into buying homes.
Yes.
They say that for every 1% drop in interest rates, it makes it affordable for another 1 million people to buy a house.
What?
Yes.
Damn.
So if there's another 1 million people that are out there looking for houses, when you're looking for houses, it's just gonna get harder. Prices are just gonna keep going up. We say this, right? There's a kind of a cliche saying about marry the house and date the rate, right? So go buy the house today while you can get the price you want. You can maybe even negotiate that price a little bit today.
For sure, because there's less competition out there.
That's right. And then we secure the home price today and we renegotiate the rate down the road when the rates go down.
I'm a 100% believer in that, dude. Let's talk about the difference between 7% interest rate and let's say, 5%.
Yeah.
Or it could be, 4.5 later.
Sure.
People are crying over a 2% difference when they can refinance that thing later. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So a 7% rate versus a 5% rate equates to about a 20% reduction in payment, okay? So let's say your payment was gonna be $5,000. and you really, at 7%.
7%.
And you really wanted a lower payment, you want that 5% rate. That 5% rate equates to maybe a $4,000 payment,
yes.
right? So effectively, that's $1,000 a month in extra interest that you'd be paying. Nobody likes to do that.
No.
But if you look also forward at a year or two down the road and what that home price is going to do, if that home price was $750,
right,
and now it goes up 10%, right, now you're 8.25.
Yes.
You lost $75,000
to gain $24,000.
To save $24,000, right? Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
Don't make sense, especially in the world of investing.
Yes. Yes, oh, absolutely. For investors, it's even tougher. You've got to find a way to make it work today with today's prices and today's rates, because it's really going to be a great buy when you refinance. If you're waiting on a cash out refinance too, right? We see that all the time. Somebody goes in and they do a BRRRR project, they do it all right, they do it with all cash, and they want to wait to refinance until rates come down. But what they're doing is their opportunity cost of the money that's now tied up in that house, doing nothing extra for them, over maybe $1,000 a month in extra interest, when they could go out and take that money, 500 grand, and maybe do 2 more of those BRRRR projects and make $500,000, $600,000, all to save a couple thousand interest.
We believe that when it's time to refi, just pay the stupid high interest rate now.
That's right.
Get your cash back in your hand, pay a little more now. Let's call it an extra $1,000, for example. So we're talking about the same subject. Take the cash and go buy some more deal, make more money versus trying to save $12,000 a year or $24,000 a year, when you can make way more money than just an opportunity versus sitting with your money.
That's right.
All right, you guys, this is a wrap. So we got a lot of questions that we can go over and over. We love getting together talking about this mortgage, real estate stuff, especially investing. But for now, you guys, we're gonna call this part 1. We'll probably do part 2, 3, 4 down the road for you guys with me and Cody. But if you like everything you saw, right, comment below. Tell us also what you also want us to talk about, okay? We'll be happy to make a video on that too. But for now, give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the button. I'm gonna put his contact in the video for you guys so you guys can reach him. But until then, we will see you all soon. Peace.